our panel's ready to come on board, let me introduce you first to our moderator, Carlos Macias. Carlos is a social media community manager at Exposito and Partners, and he brings with him a robust editorial background on social media and strategy, multicultural marketing, consumer advocacy, and domestic and foreign policy. At this point, I'd like to welcome Carlos to the stage. Now, also, one of our panelists, Claudia Molina, which some of you may know. Claudia took the role of VP Network Strategies and Product Management in Consumer Travel Network. In this role, she oversees technology development of the agent desktop tools as well as consumer treatment strategy, re-engineering and learning and training organizations. Her team supports over 1,800 travel counselors and call centers. Also, they work at home and travel through office environments in the pursuit of delivering extraordinary travel services to all card members. Claudia leads over 60 employees across the U.S. I'd like to welcome Claudia to the stage. Another one of our panelists is Denise Garcia. She's the Vice President of Diversity Strategies at Macy's. She's responsible for Macy's diversity efforts within the Latino community, forging and sustaining relationships with national Latino organizations across the U.S. She acts as a brand ambassador within the Latino community and internally works towards leveraging diversity within Macy's. I'd like to welcome Denise to the stage. And our last panelist, but definitely not least, Anna Sippi. Anna is a consumer insights, marketing, and branding category expert in financial services, healthcare, and technology. Currently, she's investing her time at Univision Communications and consulting with C-level clients on why U.S. Hispanics are the growth engine for the company's brands. And has spent 18 years specializing in large group of Fortune 50 brands, including AMEX, Intel, ExxonMobil, Motorola, and MasterCard, and has domestic and international marketing experience. Welcome, Anna. At this time, I turn this over to Carlos.
Thank you so much, and I want to welcome everyone. A few housekeeping items before we start our conversation. I would like to say thank you to American Express, Macy's, and Ashimba to make this possible, and please give it a big round of applause. Also, in terms of time, we're going to have around 35 minutes, so I would say let's talk for 20 minutes, and so we give enough time for the questions for the audience to be as succinct as possible. If that. Also, I was told earlier that we have to say thank you, and a profound thank you to Darlene, because she came directly from beautiful Miami this morning. 12-degree weather, so please, clap yourselves an applause.
Oh
yes.
my God.
It's something. So let's dive into our conversation tonight, taking the reins. I would see it in two ways. Taking the reins first as women. I work at a firm, the Exposito and Partners, and it's women-owned, minority-owned. Most of my my best mentors in my career so far in media and journalism has been women. So I know that you ladies are definitely taking over, and that's great. And I feel very empowered to share this stage with you guys, and I'm not exaggerated, I know. But taking the reins in the terms of the conversation that we're going to have, it's taking the reins of your own career. So I would like to start with Anna. And what's the one thing that you did or you didn't do that enabled you to steer your career and to get where you are today.
Thank you. First of all, it's surreal for me to be sitting here because I worked at AMEX and I sat over there. And I want to say hello to everyone because over there is so much nicer than over here. So this might be a career-altering move, but I think I might have preferred to be there. One of the things that I've always done to steer my career is to look for environments that really are tolerant of diversity. And I don't mean diversity in terms of being Hispanic or Latina, I mean diversity in terms of thinking and approach and process. I really don't subscribe to the notion that you need to fit in a box. I actually hate boxes. But if you have an environment where someone's always willing to ask why and to understand the why behind that why, I tend to thrive. You know, in the environment that I worked here when I was at AMEX, there's a department that really pushed the envelope in every possible direction, and we were many times less than popular, and always the cankerous one in the room, and that's okay. If you have an environment where there is a lot of diversity, that's kind of the place where I tend to do well.
Thank you. What about you, Benny?
It's sort of interesting because I recently had somebody interview me for an article, and the title, A Little Like Rosanas, I wasn't excited about the title of the article. It was my story, but it put me in a light of the ever-changing career or something to that extent, and I thought it made me sound fickle. I thought it made me sound like somebody who wasn't well-grounded. But then I said to myself, well, the reality is that I've made decisions that have allowed me to take my career into my own hands, not control, but take responsibility for my career. So I started out thinking I wanted to be a broadcaster, majored in communication arts, and ended up in diversity strategies after, you know, I graduated in 1989 from college. You do the math. So we're like, what, 20 years later? A little over that. But I have to say that what I've done, and your question was, what did you do? I took the opportunity that presented itself. And sometimes that wasn't a direct route. Most of the times it was not a direct route. And not only that, but I didn't allow people to tell me that I couldn't do things. Even when I thought I might not be able to do something, I didn't let anybody tell me that I couldn't do it. And puede ser que fue por mi mamá, you know, it could be that it was my mother. My mother, you know, brought me up thinking that you can do anything in your life that you set your mind to. You know, I tell my kids the same things now. Do I think they can, really? No. My son does not run, despite the fact that I'm like, you're supposed to run after the soccer ball and kick it. It's like, I know, no me da ganas. Right, he doesn't want to exert himself. But I do believe that, to keep it short, you have to take the opportunities presented to you, and if you fall on your face, you know what? You get up, you brush yourself off, and you keep on going. And that's what we were taught. That's what I was taught. I was taught take the risk, and so I took a lot of risk. And maybe you'll hear a little bit more about that during our conversation today. But there were some risks that now I look back and I'm like, oh my God, I did that. Like, ¿qué estaba pensando? What was I thinking? But
and I just want to add, for context, you have a degree in law.
Correct.
Right, so you're a lawyer that you wanted to be in broadcast and ended up working in diversity. So that's definitely not a straight path. But you're getting there.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
and besides
And
that,
knows what she's going to be next.
besides she's from, there you go, she's from New York, but she lives in Miami. So that's another thing that
You never know where you're going to land, and if you're willing to take risks, then, you know, you assume that, and you get the pros and you get the cons that come with that. So.
And what about you, Chloe?
So first of all, it's a privilege to be here, and I'm really excited to be part of American Express, who's hosting along with so many other companies. So thank you all for being here on a what is it today, Thursday evening, right? Cold, very cold evening. So as I was thinking about this question in terms of what's the one thing that you did or didn't do, I think there's probably a list of top 10 I can give you. But one of the things that I would say is among the top 3 is that I always try to aim high. Aim high as it relates to going to the best schools, working for the best companies, surrounding yourself with the best people, expecting the best from yourself and from others around you. So always aiming high and having very high standards, I think, is something that has helped me get through all my moves. And very much like you, I think my career has been a little bit of a, I call it a zigzag. And it hasn't been a straight line, but I think I've always aspired to work for companies like American Express. I worked for IBM. I worked for Donna Karan, very high, prestigious brand names, because I knew that I was going to be challenged there. I knew that I was going to learn something. And I find that if I set myself up in a situation where I'm aiming high and I'm in a learning situation, that's where I grow the most as a person and as an executive. So I'm always looking for that growth. And many times it's very uncomfortable. And one of my mentors here at American Express said to me, when you're looking for your next job or your next move, always try to have one foot on cement and the other foot on quicksand. You know, and it's that sort of not being always comfortable and aiming high and having these high standards that I think have allowed me to grow.
Great, thank you. And I want to, follow up now that you mentioned mentors. It's always all of us at some point in our lives, we had mentors, or we have it right now, we'll have it in the future. But could you, Anna, give us the 2 or 3 things that you did to gain the support of those mentors? Basically, how you seduce someone that you admire into basically help you and go the extra mile for you. Because it's a game, because you're not the only one playing the game. You're not the only one, and people have limited time and limited attention span. So you need to say, hey, I am the one.
Invest in me.
There you go.
Yeah.
So
it's interesting because I didn't come into mentorship until I hit a big career wall. And I was already in my 30s and I already had my kids. And I, for whatever reason, was under the illusion that if I worked hard and invested and devoted myself to the work, that I really could excel without a mentor. And let me tell you, if you don't have one, get one and get 2. So the way that I went about mentorship, and I actually have 2 very good mentors here in the building. As a good Latina girl, I decided that I wanted someone that shared my exact value system. And so I got my first mentor, and he told me all the things that I was doing was right. And after 6 months, I realized that that was great, but I really needed a contrarian mentor. I needed someone that had a completely different perspective, ideally be the opposite gender, ideally have an opposing scope, and look at the world through the entire different filter and gave me an opportunity to stretch and grow. And I'll tell you, it's hard work. The first 3 or 4 times that I met with my mentor, I was like, oh God, please just get me through these next 30 minutes. The reality is that that mentor was so much more valuable in career advocacy, in really telling me how it was and what my blind spot was. That I encourage you that if you have a mentor that you're completely synced up with, that you look for a mentor that you're completely not synced up with and work to where they are.
But how do you connect with them? How did you? I mean, it was just you approached them, or
I was fortunate enough that this mentor, that is the other side of my coin. At AMEX, they have a great culture where mentorship is encouraged, and where it's a privilege to be asked to be a mentor, and it's taken very seriously. So I had the opportunity to be in an environment, again back to my environment question, in an environment where that was fostered. if I were to look for a mentor that I don't have any connectivity with one way or